What we're going to talk about in this video is something that I've realised through a lot of my time with teaching and training in the martial arts. And we're going to use striking as an analogy for something that how we can relate this part of our training to enhancing and helping our everyday lives. And one thing I've noticed through the years, especially when it comes to striking, is that people hold a lot of potential already within themselves. Certainly within the area of generating power for our striking. But the main thing is that a lot of people just lock it in, and that physically that comes through a lot of physical tension in the body and maybe tension that's kind of coming from the mind as well. So we're going to use striking as an analogy because it's very visual and we can see the results. That by removing areas of tension within our body, then we start to unlock huge amounts of power. All right. So we're going to use striking again. It's as a metaphor today. So when the figure of 8 striking that we use is a really good visual way to demonstrate this. So if we look at our figure of 8 striking, when I'm teaching this kind of work, like any time I'm trying to get somebody to improve and really get their power generation up, I always start with this method of training. And there's a good reason why. It really quickly starts to illustrate where that person is carrying tension in the body. And for me, there's kind of two kinds of tension. There's tension that serves us, and there's tension that doesn't. And within a lot of people, our bodies are very tight and tense, and we just carry too much tension that doesn't serve us. So whilst today we're using striking as a great metaphor, because again, it's very visual and we can kind of get it quite quick. When I start to add tension into these movements, it might sound good, but there's a distinct difference when I take the tension out. It's not changing the movement, it's not adding anything in, it's just taking away. And an interesting thing with this is how I observe people when we're teaching and we're learning this work, is how people realise how much potential they already have within them. And that actually, the way of accessing the power is by removing stuff instead of adding. And I think this is a great metaphor for how, again, we can take a physical aspect of our training and really apply it in a very functional sense into our everyday life. So, a good question to ask ourselves, and how we can use this training outside of the studio, outside of the gym, is what areas of my life, where is the unnecessary areas of tension? Now, that may be in our jobs, it may be in our relationships, it may be in lots of different areas of our lives. It could be habits, it could be the way our association, the way that we think. There can be lots of different ways that are causing us that unnecessary tension. So the first thing when I'll be coaching or when we're teaching this kind of stuff is where is the area of tension? A lot of times it's in the shoulders, it's in the neck, so we'll work with practical ways to help reduce that. So that's the other thing as well. Firstly, this kind of training and our whole martial arts, all the things we do at Movements, it's all about trying to give people, fluid, dynamic movement. And this comes really from unlocking the body through removing necessary areas of tension. Now, if we can help people move physically in a martial arts sense, more dynamically, if that means unlocking huge amounts of natural power that they already have within themselves, well, that's really what we're trying to do outside of here. Can I move physically and figuratively more dynamically, with less tension, more fluid? Yeah, and I think that's something that's really valuable. And I think it's just a great metaphor how we can go within our martial arts training. We can take something like striking, we can apply the learning from it, which is identifying those areas of tension. Then we need ways to work with removing them. So if we look at certain aspects of our life, how do we improve those areas? If it's a job, if it's a relationship, so that's going to take some work. But at the end of it, what we're trying to do within all the programs that we teach, we're trying to help people to be more fluid, have the ability to access the power that they already have within themselves. And it sounds a bit esoteric, really, unlock the power within. It sounds like self-help or a motivational book. But for me, it is what it is. You remove tension, we get power. And when you see that with people, they go, wow, I can do that. What can we do by applying those principles in our everyday lives? What are the things that are holding us back? And if we can identify them, well, what have we got the potential then to do?